Hey guys, how you doing? This is Ryan Date, aka Date Ryan Sama on Twitch and on Twitter. A member of the Hashira podcast where we talk all things anime and nerd. And thank you guys for following us and checking us out. As always, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. We have got a jewel for you today, talking with some real content creation and a real content creator and all the things that go on with that and all the art and all that jazz. So we're glad about it. So please make sure you check us out, follow us and all that. And here we go.
I'd like to begin with a fact.
So, with us today, I have with me Kelvin Nayusi Mawazo, and he has been working on some things in the nerdverse, and that's why we had to have this conversation, because black nerds. Come on here.
Black nerds.
Do I have to make any more conversation than that? Black nerds. And if you haven't already, he has been working on a comic called Black Sun. Funny enough, not to be confused with the manhwa Black Sun. And enough to say, like, it's just cool to see kind of like that real influence and input and kind of placing some of that real blackness in some sci-fi. And I thought that was really cool. Like, even like, you know, how we get really black about textures and all that jazz. So I just really wanted to kind of like, well, it wasn't my idea. It's Goose's idea. It's Goose's idea. So before I even run my mouth like that, it's Goose's idea. And he wanted to bring him on. So I'm actually going to pass the ball over to the Goose.
I'm gonna take the ball. We got a gem on here. First of all, break the ice with us real quick, because I know it's one, you want to be recognized for your work, right? And it's just crazy to have another name out there. Like, how do you guys navigate that? Like, how did that come about? Like, how did you find out that somebody else also had Black Sun? And does it impact, like, you know, your viewers, and does it mess anything up at all?
Not really. It's a good question though. I don't know how I actually found out about it. I think I was scrolling through Instagram. Oh no, I remember. Yeah. Someone said, "Oh, this comic is dope. Big up Black Sun Comics." And they had put a link in their comment to me. And so I clicked the link, and then I'm taken to Webtoon, and it says Black Sun manga, and I'm like, what is this? This isn't me. So this guy was giving me props, but he was talking about another intellectual property. And then I found out that they had created their thing after we had done ours. So I thought that was interesting, but it hasn't really interfered. Black Sun manga is more for people who like that, that manga style, that anime thing. Ours is what we do is a bit different. Well, actually, it's a lot different.
A lot different. Yeah, I'm about to say it's a lot different.
Yeah, the only thing in common is the name. The names are similar. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, you know, and I think there's this. It is a separation, right? Like, you do have people who tend to love manga, manhwa, webtoons, anime. Then you have those folks who still love comics, because there's this separation of past and now. I honestly feel like, and we talked about this so much, that manga and anime has a more potent now here on the Western Hemisphere, as opposed to back then. Back then, everybody was always talking about DC comics. And, So, knowing that, you still are in the right mind. This doesn't even like make you worried about, the possible confusion of the two at all.
No, okay. not at all. I like manga myself, and it's funny that you mentioned how big manga is today, because I went into like a popular book chain here is Indigo Books. I guess the equivalent would be like your Barnes and Noble. So up here it's Indigo, and you go into Indigo and they have a section for graphic novels, and all of it, it's like a huge wall, and all of it is manga. Everything. And then there's a small little section for DC Comics, and another small little section for Marvel, and little indie titles in between here and there. but the manga takes up a good 80% of everything there. And I'm like, wow, this is nuts. Because when I was a kid,
it was
no
the
one was
reverse.
reading any of it.
It was the reverse.
It was the
It was the
reverse.
exact
Word.
reverse. So I think it just I think the stories that come out in manga are just more engaging than what DC and Marvel are doing right now. That's just my own opinion on it. Yeah.
Okay, and then
Well, I mean, I actually have a question. That actually, because I think about, so the way that we are raised, and Goose can talk. The truth, like my dad was a big comic book nerd. We got into comic books and Japanese anime because my dad was buying the VHSs from like subbed anime years ago.
Wow.
Then he also has like a collection of comics. He's probably got some really good ones downstairs that he's had since before we were born.
sealed up,
And sealed up. Yeah, So for me, I always I kind of sit where I enjoy both. But like we said, now, like you were just saying, nowadays you'll see like manga and kind of graphic Japanese animated or any Eastern stuff like that takes up a big portion of the stores, and now DC and Marvel take up a smaller portion. And you said something that really hit me just now. You said anything that DC and Marvel is doing right now. That's the qualifier. So my question is do you feel that DC and Marvel are falling off because this is kind of like it's hard for them to build off the success that they already had? Like they haven't found something fresh to bring out, or as a comic creator yourself, like what do you think is kind of like holding them back?
That's a good question, and I've been wrestling with that for a while because, well, mind you, I wasn't really ever a DC fan. I was more of a Marvel guy, but I collected comics heavily up until around, this is going to date me, but this is like the early 90s.
Woo.
Like I think I was really into X-Men, so I stopped collecting like around 92, 93, around there. And I took a break from comics because I just got into other things. And then about 10, 15 years later, I wanted to get back into it, right? So I went into a comic book shop and I said to myself, okay, society's supposed to be progressing. There should be more Black characters in the comic books that I see. And I went into the comic book shop and nothing had changed. what's going on? So at that point, as I decided, okay, I need to do my own thing.
Okay.
I did look at to answer your question, I did look at some of the things that were coming out, and it was cool. Like, I mean, it was all right, but it was nothing that really grabbed me. So to answer your question, I can't pinpoint what it is specifically that doesn't work for them anymore, because Marvel is heavily focused on the movies and TV shows. DC is trying to do the same thing, but maybe not as good, right? I guess it's a matter of opinion. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I think fair enough.
Well, your comics are more focused on having Black characters, yeah?
Yeah, that's specifically what we do. Like, I'm very open and honest about our agenda. So we create Afrofuturist graphic novels, and Afrofuturism, for those who have never heard the term, I kind of like to describe it as science fiction, but from a Black perspective. So the protagonists are always going to be characters of African descent. There's always going to be little sprinkles of Black history and politics and African history and all that interspersed with the story. So it's really about looking at the past so that you can go into the future. There's the concept of Sankofa, if you've ever heard that before. But how everything is cyclical. So that's basically the premise behind what we do. And surprisingly, what I do is influenced a lot by manga in terms of the manga in terms of the storytelling and even the style, because I like to do black and white. But yeah, that's what we do in a nutshell, and it's gotten a really good response.
Okay. Do you feel like, because I've heard this so many times, like, someone said, and I don't want to put them out there, and I don't have the rights to say their name, and then want to get whatever, but someone said that they would prefer, and I think even Method Man said something like this too, that they would prefer Black people making new characters as opposed to
Say so. Yes.
Oh, yeah, I
Yes.
heard that.
as opposed to creating, like, we have Jonathan Mayers now being what's his name, is it Klang or something like that for Marvel, and then we also had a Black actress for Starfire and
Captain America too. They kind of like switched up now with the what was it? He was playing like the Hawk guy. What was his name?
But
Falcon. Yeah.
But that's more
90s,
Succession.
right?
That's more Succession. Because Captain America was already there. But I think what you're going with the fact that like they kind of recasting them those colors, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So do you feel like are you also in that same mindset, or is it like, no, I'm just doing this because black? like that's cool too. Like that's cool too, but I'm also doing this. Like you're not. Yeah.
Personally, if you ask me, I think the race swapping thing, that's a term that I've heard. Like, who was it? Not Luke Cage. The guy from S.H.I.E.L.D., Samuel L. Jackson played him.
Yes.
Nick Fury.
Nick Fury in the comic books was a white
Fury
character, but then in the movie, Samuel L. Jackson is playing him, and Samuel L. Jackson obviously is black.
Well, Nick Fury's weird though, because Nick Fury is black in some comics too. Like when they
he
goes
is?
weird.
That's
You know how that
also
goes. Yeah.
progressive. But that's also
Okay, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
No, that's also progressive though, Maurice. That's again changing with the times. If anything, the only initial like black characters we actually had was like Black Panther and
Luke Cage.
Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Luke Cage. But I'm just saying, like, in terms of we had those, and then we now have a progressive way of like switching up the comic so that way there is a black character there, so that way somebody who is black can play that character. I don't even doubt the fact that they'll do that same thing with I'm blanking on his name, but Jonathan Mayer's character now that he's playing, because I plan on seeing Ant-Man. But I totally believe that they're gonna do that with the upcoming comics for sure. They're gonna use this as a template to do that. But back to the question, like, were you like, I'm totally like, that's cool too, but I also want to make black characters, or are you like with the method thought of like, nah, we should be making our own superheroes?
In a way, I kind of feel it's kind of pandering to a certain extent. But there's two ways that you can look at it. So if you're looking at it from a business, right, you have, let's take Nick Fury. So Nick Fury is a character that people already know. So if you recast him as a black person now, it kind of makes you look progressive, and maybe you can get a bigger audience without having to go through the trouble of creating something completely new and wondering if it's going to flop or if it's going to do. So I get it from that standpoint. Myself personally, I kind of feel like it's pandering. I would rather see new characters created, right? And if Marvel or DC or anyone isn't able to do that, then it's up to independent creators to do that, which is why I kind of stepped into to do that for myself, to see what I could do, to see what I was capable of, and to see what the response from other people would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even slightly. I'm pretty much more on that side of creating new things. Like, I know obviously it is a danger and a risk, but to me, sometimes it's like, I don't want you guys race swapping everything because sometimes it's just like it's too much at some point. Like, I'm not, I'm definitely pro-black. Yeah, like, believe you me. But it's just like sometimes we didn't need this at this point in time. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's weird, like Black Shaggy and Black Velma right now and the new Scooby Doo. Like, it's just some things are just like, what's happening? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah. So sometimes it's
Actually,
like,
I didn't even know that happened. So
yeah,
it's
definitely happened, and it's
They're
weird
in the second
sometimes.
episode. They're in the second episode.
So it's like sometimes we don't need that, and I prefer them, or even to play on characters that we do like. Like, for example, they could just make a movie of Static Shock. We all love Static Shock, and he's black. Actually, why? Like that, if you really wanted to, promote some of that, you can get Static, because Static's family is going to represent a lot of what we know. And so I feel like that sometimes they don't do that, and that's why when I was reading and looking over some of the stuff that you made in Black Sun, I was just like, well, this is cool. Like, it's different, and I kind of like felt like, and it's funny that you said that it was influenced by manga, because it is black and white, and that's the first thing I thought as an anime big fan. Yeah. I was like, it's black and white. It's a manga of some sort. It's gotta be, But seeing the textures in the hair, the facial structures that are done right to represent what we look like, and having that kind of mixed in with that real big sci-fi kind of world, I felt like that was very different. Very different. Cool. Haven't seen that in a while, or at all, to my knowledge. And just kind of a cool way of integrating it and making something that, like Goose was saying, is fresh. It's different. It's got a different face. And it's not just trying to pander, or it's not trying to just swap. It's trying to create something very different. And I thought that was pretty sweet.
I appreciate that insight. That's dope. Thank you.
I totally agree with Maurice. However, here's where I have to disagree with, I think, possibly the team right now that's speaking. The thing is, in terms of like, Ed and I talked about this already, like in terms of a universe, right? You can pretty much do anything in the universe. So in my mind, it's like seeing, again, Jonathan Majors get cast as Kang.
Kang the Conqueror, bro. OD.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't rub me, not to say that it did rub you guys the wrong way, but it doesn't rub me in any way because of the fact that, again, in a universe, you can change up pretty much anything, you know?
Wait, on a side note, Kang the Conqueror is purple, so it doesn't matter what you cast him as. I just want to put that out there. Kang is purple.
True. The same thing the same thing with Starfire. The same thing with Starfire. If you watch Titans on HBO.
Well, Starfire.
You get what I'm saying? Like they're aliens at the end of the day, or there's something. So it's like when you change up these people, it's not really. I guess the only person that we could really look at, right, is like Nick Fury, right? Because like he's a human being. But like, again, in terms of the universe, just switching it up is like.
Yeah, I mean, again,
you know what I mean?
It's not the switching up, and you guys let me know if I sound crazy. As a comic book buff of, I guess of the later on ones, like I'm not so in tune with the original ones. I can't say that I am, but as you go farther on, there are a lot of the ones that I've read and kept up with. So when I'm watching the movies, I'm comparing what I know to be canon to what they have put in the movies. And that's why a lot of times Ed is always like, "Come on, Breeze, it ain't got to be exactly the same." Ed is always getting on me. He's always getting on me for that. I promise he's always getting on me for that.
Yeah, you and Goose.
So so for me, it's like when we're following a certain universe that I know we're following, where we're going down that specific canon. When you change that after going this way, I'm always like, "Wait, what?" I get lost. But again, that's only because I know the comic books and I know the storylines. A lot of people don't, so they're like, "Hey, it is what it is." And for me, I'm just like, "Wait a minute, that's not." What? Like the Civil War. Civil War is one of my favorite comic book series ever. So ever. So when I saw the movie, I was like, wait. I was over here like, what's happening? It was good, but also like, what's going on? What's this?
That's probably one of Marvel's best movies, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Civil War is OD. I mean, Winter Soldier is my favorite of all. But anyway,
yeah, that was a good one too. I think that goes back to what y'all was saying before though about I think Naosi was talking about how when he goes into the store with the books that it's all manga and barely any like American comics. I think that's because, like we said, they just keep doing the same thing over and over again. So like that's why when y'all get mad and you're like, oh, this is not like canon or whatever you call it for comics, it's just I understand because I'm like, how many times again, like I said, how many times Peter Parker, Uncle Ben, how many times that one character gotta die if he gotta be like, oh man, yeah. So it's like they need to switch it up and do something because they're not that creative anymore. It's just the movies to me are filled with like stale jokes. I mean, the quality of the movies are good, but if they're not going to do nothing new, then they're just going to keep getting killed by manga and anime. Because anime, especially with like our wallpaper, Demon Slayer, the animation is insane. Yeah. Like the movies, what did it do? Like $500 million almost. You know what I'm saying?
Oh wow.
Off of a I guess a genre of music, whatever people call it. Anime, like it's not even that. I mean, it's popular now, but past couple of years it wasn't that popular. So for them to just go out and put a movie in theaters, and they were like the first ones to do like a big canon movie, and it did so well. Like I mean, they need to take notice. And I give Marvel a little bit of credit for the little Spider-Man movies they do with who's it? Mostly with Miles, right? I always hear those movies are amazing.
Oh yeah. The Spider-Verse ones. Yeah, the next one's supposed to be
the Spider-Verse, I only saw the first one. The first one was really good. I was really impressed by that.
Yeah.
I always hear those are really good. So maybe Marvel needs to start, going into 3D a little bit more with some of these superhero movies, so they could do something different. I guess I don't know. They gotta do something.
Well, this is my next question, Edwin. I'm glad you said that. do you see yourself animating in the future?
Not myself. I would like to hire a company to do it. We've looked into animation. That's actually the goal. The funny thing is the comic book actually I don't draw it. Okay. The characters are modeled in 3D software.
Yeah, I saw YouTube.
So the models are there ready for animation, but I'm just not experienced like that. So I've gotten some quotes for animation, and it's easy to say to do, but it's really expensive
I
to
bet.
fund. Like I think I got quotes from anywhere from $500 to $5,000 per second of animation, depending on what's going on. Yeah, it's like holy smokes.
Yeah. Like it's not a game. Sheesh.
It's an expensive
Yeah.
industry. It is expensive industry.
So I figure what will probably happen is I'll probably do like a Kickstarter or something to fund maybe like a 1 minute trailer, and then do something really nice so people can see a proof of concept, and then shop that around to see what the response is, because it's a big investment. The thing that I like about comics is that it's not that big of an investment. You can do whatever you want, and there's already a built-in audience for it, so it works.
Got you.
And-
You ain't lying.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
No, and I understand that because I think you're also trying to make sure you keep it close to home, for lack of better words. And I say that because of, if you reach out, it might get tainted. Like if you reach out to, like if you get right, you see what I'm saying? Like they'll take your idea and then they'll be like, well, we're gonna do this because we're sponsoring you, or taking and giving you money for this, so we're gonna mess it up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you don't want that to happen. So that makes sense.
That's a good point that you bring up, because it's very important that the creative control is kept in-house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's big. That's
I
big.
think would you think that's a very, because MAPPA doesn't mess up, when they take ID, when they like utilize whatever manga they come across.
Well,
Like,
it depends if they want to do it or not. We also got
Yeah,
high school,
seriously.
so
Oh, yeah.
that wasn't good. That wasn't it, Chief. So I can't speak to that. Always hitting the mark.
I guess it really depends. Like I'm open to outside money, that sort of thing. That's fine, but as long as the vision is kept, then that's cool. But the moment someone wants to compromise the vision, then it becomes an issue, right? So it's that fine balance of finding someone that you can work with that doesn't want to compromise what you do.
Exactly. And I think
Yeah,
especially for the message that you're trying to push through and making sure that there's proper representation, then you don't want someone trying to change it because they're like, oh, well, this is going to make more money, and it's something that takes away from the integrity of the actual art you're trying to get out there. That changes everything. You know what I'm saying? So I understand that wholeheartedly.
Like someone comes in and says, okay, well, we have to make this guy buffoonish. Because
Exactly, right? No.
that's not it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Have you? And I don't know if you could say this, if you want to say this on the show or not, but have you been tapped, like for somebody to animate your stuff and send give you some money, or whatever?
Sort of, yes. So it's been kind of like a start and go process.
Okay.
So it's happened a few times.
Okay.
So we make a little bit more progress, then a little bit more progress, and then something falls apart, and then it doesn't work out.
Okay.
So we're still pursuing, but I'm realizing that it's a lot harder than I thought it was.
Okay. Okay. All right.
And part of that is probably just me and my hard head too. So
we gotta get out of our way. I would love to see viewers that the comic is beautiful. Obviously, we're gonna show a little bit. The comic is beautiful itself. I love the work. And I think as a person who reads whatever, I'm at the place where like I love seeing it animated as well. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm hoping that is in the future for your work for the comic itself.
Yes.
In terms of, I know, you being a black man, and you're big on representation. Do you consult maybe your wife or friend pertaining to the black women in the comic?
Yes.
He said, wait, let me make sure I'm correct when I speak about
I do. My wife is okay, as long as she's not listening. Here's usually how it goes. So I'll finish a chapter and I'll give it to her to read. Say, could you just check it and make sure it's cool? And she reads it, and she will cut it to shreds. Like, no mercy, nothing. She'll tell me, this doesn't make sense, blah, 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 this sucks, and all that kind of stuff. and I get upset. I get mad. I'm like, you don't understand the process and blah blah blah. I'm an artist and you can't, blah blah blah. I keep running my mouth.
Yeah.
And then I take a day, and I find out that she's right, and I end up making all the changes that she said.
Wait, so you had to make sure she wasn't listening because you don't want her to say that she was right?
She might see
it. Exactly.
Is that what it was?
I can't tell her
I
that
don't
she's
want to
right.
hear that part.
might see the show. She might see this episode.
No.
And I asked that question because I know a lot of times where we've had conversations with other anime podcasts / podcasts in general pertaining to the work, the manga work, the anime work, that they don't feel like that women are represented well, especially when the work is coming from a man. So I bring that up to because what are the characters they say that are not not good? I think Maurice, you was at a panel right during one time, and they was like they weren't happy with certain women characters that men don't know how to make women characters.
I know Kishimoto in Naruto is like one of the main culprits of the doesn't know how to write women characters.
Oh, okay. To me, Naruto's a gold mine. Like I don't, So I mean, I get it. I get it. As long as but I'm glad that you have that consultant as well. So because we want to make sure that this specifically flourishes.
I think there's a lot of truth to what you're saying, though. Like I don't think it's really possible for a male to write an authentic female character because we just don't know what it's like to be female, right?
Right.
But as long as you have that sounding board to say, does this make sense, then it helps a lot.
I mean, I just want to. I'm gonna put this right here. I don't. Like, I'm gonna just do this right. I'm gonna do it. Call me the goose real quick. I'm just for trouble's sake. I think that no matter what, depending on who's writing it or not, it's based off what people want to see and what people want those people and characters to act like is how they're going to receive it. Because the writer of Demon Slayer
is a woman.
And a lot of people don't like the way she wrote those characters. So
they didn't
it's really up to what you want them to do and how you want it to go and how you want them to be perceived. And therefore, I feel like it's just different. Now, again, I'm agree with Goose. I'm glad that you have some proper counsel. And when she sees this, she'll hear that you said she was right. But I'm glad you have proper. So I'm glad you have proper counsel. But I do want to say that again, that even if we go about it the right way like that, sometimes it can just be the way people want these women to be seen, and kind of even not just women, like especially us, right? We feel a certain type of way when black people are ill represented in other sorts of media, right? So. And we're just like, of course they're going to be ill-represented because they don't know what a black family really is, right? And I thought that that was Denzel Washington. As a matter of fact, that was a Denzel Washington thing. He was saying, you won't ever understand the feeling of that hot comb going through nappy hair on a Sunday morning before church. You'll never be able to embody that if you're writing this and you're a white guy. It's never going to happen. You can't do it because you don't know it. And the same way I can't do something for your culture, but I can be a part of it, even if I don't know it. And therefore, someone else will have to tell me so that I can act it out properly. So, and that I think is kind of proper, even going into how we do comics and just kind of all sorts of content like that. So, just because you said it, I was like, let me, trouble.
No, good point.
Do you, growing up, you said that one of your favorite was most so Marvel. Do you have a favorite character from the Marvel universe?
Ooh,
not really. What I really liked was X-Men was my favorite title, and the reason why I liked X-Men is because all the characters were cool, but they all had something different. And what was best was when they used their powers together, when they complemented each other to defeat whatever enemy they were battling. I thought that was genius. And for the life of me, I can't remember the exact issue, but they were fighting Magneto, and it was really clever the way the story was written. So that idea of a team with different abilities, using their abilities to complement one another to solve a problem. Just it blew my mind at the time when I read it. So I always kind of wanted to replicate that in anything that I put out. So to answer your question, I've never had a favorite character. There's different characters that I like.
Right.
but never really a favorite.
Okay, so we could video off of that. And there's so many X-Men movies. Did you enjoy any of them, or like did you?
I
like
the first one I liked. The first one I really liked because it's just it's the hype. It's like, oh my gosh, X-Men's on screen. I finally get to see this live. Like so that one really could do no wrong. Remind me, what was the second one again?
Exactly. That's your answer right there. See, that's it right there. You see that? Remind me. What was that about? What was that? Okay. All right. X-Men 2 was what?
I remember how nice the cover looked on DVD though.
The
X-Men
it was
2.
fantastic. We had the special edition. It was great. It was absolutely fantastic looking. What you mean? But I don't remember it. I can't tell you.
I don't remember the second one. That's crazy. I don't remember it.
I know 3.
I don't know.
Dang,
3 I know because of the Juggernaut. It's hard to forget 3. Because that's when Magneto picked up the whole bridge in San Francisco. That's hard to forget 3. 2, I don't remember 2. Not at all.
But my favorite one out of all of them was Logan.
Logan was great.
Yeah.
Logan.
Yeah.
Oh,
That one was really good.
Embodied.
It was good until they killed the black family. That took me out. But the rest of it was good.
Then you ran a major cunt. No, I'm just joking.
Oh my goodness.
Make that family the main cast. That's how it should have went.
Can't just be doing that, but that's right. I mean, but since you asked that, I mean, I feel like we should all answer that. Yo, Ed Goose, favorite Marvel character?
It's gonna be Deadpool.
Whoa, actually, that I did not know.
Deadpool.
I am surprised.
Okay.
Yeah, I was not ready for that.
That's my favorite Marvel character.
You have to give me a little bit because what why?
I remember I was really, really young, probably like 6 or 7 years old, and I had a friend. We had to do a Christmas exchange, a Secret Santa, and he got me Deadpool, and I'm looking at this character. Mind you, I'm young, so I'm like, whoa, Spider-Man has different clothes on. I didn't know. And I remember that. But anyway, go ahead. Right. And I'm like, wait, when did Spider-Man have 2 swords behind his, and I'm just like, this is really cool. I love this character. I love the way it looks. Come to find out, it's a whole different character who makes jokes and can teleport and can rejuvenate. So I was, and it seems like, and I've read Deadpool's comics as well. It seems like he's interacted with so many characters, and his interaction with them is he was so liberal. He's just so liberal, and I enjoyed that about Deadpool.
He breaks the fourth wall all
definitely,
the time.
Yeah. And what's his name embodied Deadpool very well in the movies. I'm forgetting his name now.
Ryan.
Yeah,
Is that Ryan Reynolds?
Yep.
Ryan.
Yeah. No, Ryan did that
Reynolds.
well.
Yeah, that's right.
Ryan Reynolds. So yeah, that's my favorite Deadpool.
Interesting.
Ed?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, truth be told, I'm not that big of a Marvel dude, but
He's not.
I can only think of like 2 characters because I don't really have like a favorite, but it would be like Wolverine and like Hulk. Those are like the
Gotcha.
only
There
2
you
that I can really,
Wolverine's cool.
really think of.
Yeah.
Wolverine is cool.
Yeah, I always thought Wolverine was funny from like the old cartoon shows.
Bubba.
And, I mean, the Hulk is the Hulk, man. He just breaking stuff and beating people up. So how could you not love him?
What's not to like?
No,
Exactly.
But no, I don't know if you guys used to watch the cartoon that used to come on in the 90s. But Wolverine's freaking comebacks, man. Yo, he would be so ready. I'm like, yo, how could you just be flaming people all the time? Every time Cyclops says something, he just has something. I'm like, yo, bro.
Exactly.
Bro, how you... Don't talk to me like that with your sunglasses at night. Like, what do you mean? Like, that episode was dumb funny. Because I forgot what they were doing. And he had he has to wear the sunglasses. And Logan was just like, yo, who are you talking to in these sunglasses at night? I'm like, bro, how you just blaming him? And you know why he got to wear them? Like, he was always ready. You're right. And, he used to kill me when I was growing up. Like, bro. And
I'm happy Hugh Jackman's coming back for the role.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I heard they're making a next movie. Okay.
Yeah, I'm so happy about that. And I think Ryan Reynolds is Canadian, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Ryan Reynolds is Canadian.
Wow.
You got some big names up there. Reese, where's yours?
For me, my favorite Marvel, I have a couple, but I think when I stick to it, I always end up Iron Man. Generally, I always end up Iron Man. Always end up Iron Man. Because Tony is a joke, man. I can't take him serious. No, that's why I like him, because underneath everything, he kind of has that, like, because I'm a big Batman fan too. So like, I like the idea of these guys who just kind of have just it up here and can make everything work just because of how smart they are. Like, to me, that is so cool. The only difference is that Batman tends to follow all the way through, where Tony gets a lot of caught up in his emotions a lot more. That's the big difference between the two of them. And like, but the fact that Tony's emotions kind of like get at him sometimes, it makes him, I kind of feel more real, even though he's so smart. Like, you can be that smart and that talented and just still be human enough to like make mistakes that are, like, bring you down to that level. And I think that's why Tony works well for me, because I like the way he interacts with other characters. Like, Tony by himself is not all that great, in my opinion. Tony with the Avengers is hilarious. Like, he just like, even in the movie when they made Robert Downey do like a lot of stuff that Tony would do in the comics, you're like, yo, Tony would do that. There's no way he doesn't do. Like, when he walked in, it's like, that man's playing Gallagher. Like that stuff like Tony would do in the comics. Like, he just does dumb stuff like that, talking to people. And I like the way, like, it's really his interactions and conversations. That's what makes Tony like that's why I like him. Like, and I think that's what makes him cool. So that's my thing.
It's so, but you know, the thing is, the art itself, and this is why I gotta respect, you know, our artists now, right here in front of us. I'm thankful for you being on the show. The art itself, like telling the story, is so, because there's so many ways to take that. People don't realize that if you read the comics pertaining to Thanos, that he had a thing with death, right? Like, there was this love of death, you know, and they played with that not only in the universe of the movies, but big time in the comic book.
Well, definitely actually a person in the comics. Remember,
it was a person in the comic book. So it makes you think about these characters who are philanthropists, and like, we know Batman throws himself out there all the time. We know that Iron Man throws himself out there all the time. These are not superheroes, because in order to be a superhero, you need to have powers. They're humans. So there's this thought, and trigger warning for those who there, but there's this art, this dark art to it of, are these characters possibly suicidal? Because at any time they can truly die. You get what I'm saying? Like, and you know, you're standing amongst people who can get rid of you. You get what I mean? Like, at any moment, if Superman wanted to, I-beam, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's just wild to me that you stand there amongst these folks because you make money. I don't know. Like, you have to have, and I think, and I believe the artists and the writers are playing with that. I truly do. I believe that. I do. I think so.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I never thought about it like that
I
either.
mean,
Maybe they're addicted to the adrenaline.
But I have.
Oh, you thought about it?
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. I tell you what it is. But that's kind of why I respect them more. Because you know how, like, Captain America and a lot of other, like, heroes that are super like lawful good on their alignment. Sorry, I played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. So if they're really lawful good in their alignment, and they say certain things about, like, you have to be ready to give your life up for other people. And as a matter of fact, he says it to Tony. He said, "You're not ready to put your life on the line." Maybe even in the movies he would say that to him, right? So, but you have to think about it. Like you're saying, every day Tony and Bruce put their life on the line by getting into arguments and disagreements with people who have so much more power than them all the time. And some of them, like, sometimes they're not even wearing their suits and they be running their mouth. Like you know what I'm saying? Like there's a couple episodes where Bruce has looked Clark in the face and be like, "Bro, you're stupid." Like, what you mean? Like, get up out of Gotham. Don't come here acting like that again. Or I'm gonna deal with you with no regular clothes on. And it's just like, to me, it takes the idea of always being ready to lay down your life for the cause and what you really believe in to another level. To be like, listen, at any point in time, I'm willing to say what I have to say to the people I know have more power than me all the time, just because I know that I'm the one with the brains to say it. They don't know. I know. So I've got to do that job no matter what's happening. And I think, to me, like, that plays on the idea of, like, them being, like, real heroes all the time. Like, their life is literally on the line all the time. Because, like, even in, like, comic books, like, Tony has to react in enough time to put the suit on. Right. Or he could just die. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, it's like, like, not, later on in the comics, he got that really cool suit that's always on. But not until that point. In the older comics, when I was younger, like, he had the suit had to fly to him. So he's out there doing stuff when the suit is nowhere near him. His life on the line. Same thing with Batman. Batman, he doesn't wear the suit under his suit. He's one of those people that don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Until recently, like, there's a lot of new comics where he started doing it. But beforehand, he would just be wearing his suit. doing undercover missions or something that happened while there was a gala in a big, a business, he would just go investigate and write like that because he knew I have to do this now or else I'm gonna lose what's gonna help me solve this case. Like they're always ready and their life is always on the line all the time. They're not impervious to damage. They don't have extra super skin. They don't have super speed. They're just like, listen, my nerves, my brains, my instinct, this is what's gonna get me from point A to point B until I get what I need to handle the rest of the situation. And to me,
but that means those characters are ready to die.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. I agree with you. I say that at all
Ready.
times. Yeah. Yeah. Every single second, they're like, listen, I'm ready for this. I was made for this. Y'all play around with your little abilities. I was made for this. I can't turn this off. You know what I'm saying?
Segue now. What hopes do you have that you want folks to receive from your comics, from your work? Yeah,
that's a great question. I do it for the younger version of myself. Black Sun Comics is something that I would have wanted to see when I was 10, 11 years old. And when I do shows like conventions here, I was at Toronto Comic Con doing a convention, and you see kids who come up to the booth and they look at the pictures and the gears start churning in their head. A lot of them don't even know something like this could exist, and they see it. So it's really, I guess my wish is that it will expand the minds of people so that they can see something different. They can see an alternative to what's out there in the mainstream. Nothing wrong with the mainstream stuff. It is what it is. But there should be an alternative narrative as well. And that's what we represent. So just opening people's mind to something different.
Okay. I like that. I like that.
All right. I like the thing is like the reason why I like that so much is because you don't realize how affected by the lack of seeing something people are until it happens. People were really, really offended by Black Panther because they had the nerve to believe in their minds that people from Africa could never be that smart. I remember seeing that on Twitter, and I had to look twice. Like, what? No, but people, no, it's like, Ed, I promise you, it was real. Like, people were really like, oh, well, why would they really have those things? And how could they ever have that much technology and still be rooted in their traditions? Why not? Like, what do you mean? I don't, like, my brain could not understand why that's a question. Why is that a question? Why just because they had traditions mean that they couldn't use technology? And why, since they had technology, means that they couldn't respect their traditions and their faith? Why does those two things, why can't they work? And that's why that's why people were like really caught off guard by it and offended by it, or saying, "Oh, that's how you know this isn't really real." And Black Panther. I'm like, are y'all crazy? Like what? Listen, I hate to say it like this. I'm gonna say it like this. I don't care. Just because white folk had to take over everybody else's countries throughout history because they saw money and stuff like that, don't mean every other culture's like that. That's the problem. Everybody ain't like that. We could all, if you get something really nice, if you have the advancements and stuff like that, you can take care of your country and your people without trying to take over everybody else. I hate to say it like that. It's a fact. You can. Just because white folk didn't do that and was colonizing everybody, don't mean that that's the case for everybody. So don't paint us all under the same umbrella. And that's why I take that to heart, like, because like you said, when people walk up and see that it's not just like, for example, we know a lot of sci-fi as Star Trek, right? We know a lot of sci-fi and that sort of light, and so to see Black Sun is to see a whole bunch of characters and people who are Afrocentric with the proper, even the names and the titles for the people that you gave are Afrocentric. So to see that and be like, listen, these cultures and traditions can still exist once we get to the future, and they can still be relevant to how a story can be played out and to the heroes of a tale. That means a lot to me. Because like I was just arguing with people at my job about Black Panther. So now when I got to look at Black Sun, I'm like, oh well, look at this. Someone else has found a way to keep our traditions relevant inside of a future-centric world. It's possible. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you mentioned that, because like I watch a lot of fantasy too, and a lot of like Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, that that kind of stuff, which is rooted on medieval Europe. So it's stuff that has never happened before, but it's rooted in that mosaic of medieval Europe with castles and all that kind of stuff. And so it's just the same thing with Afrofuturism. It's rooted in ancient African civilizations, but now there's technology, and the two can coexist together. There's no reason, just like you said, there's no reason why it can't. And you're right, it blows people's minds sometimes. They're just like, oh, like really? And then they get interested and they're like, okay, cool. I want to see more of this stuff because it's different to what people have seen typically. Yeah.
You know, listen, I'm telling you, I was going through it like this makes sense.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Now you see, Owazo, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. You have an event coming up in January 28th. That's going to be from 3 to 7. You want to talk about that a little bit real quick?
Yeah, that's the Fantastic Book Fair. It's a brother here in Toronto who puts on a book fair. And he gets a bunch of authors from around the area to come in, showcase what they do. So we'll be at that event. And then the next big thing that we'll be at is the Toronto Comic Arts Festival. I plan to have the next chapters of Black Sun: The Longest Night available at that event, and that's in April. Yeah, so if you go to blacksuncomics.com, you'll see all the information there, links to social media and all that.
And all that will be linked below in the comments, for sure.
Thank you.
I do real quick before we close it out. I realized we've been talking about we've been talking about Black Sun, but like not talking about Black Sun. So if you want to real quick, just give them a what it is. You know,
sure.
Let them know what's going on with what's going on and all that, so that they know. Cause I realized we were doing that and not really doing it. So let's talk about the gamba. If I'm saying that right, I don't know if I said gamba.
Yeah, that's the correct pronunciation. So Black Sun takes place in an alternate universe on a planet named Alkebulan. And Alkebulan is peaceful until one day these strange alien zombie-like creatures appear out of nowhere and immediately start destroying everything that they see. No one knows who or what they are, no one knows where they come from, but most importantly, no one knows how to stop them. So the story centers around a group of unlikely heroes that kind of have to learn to work together, figure things out, and hopefully save the day. So as you read each book, you get to find out more about the world that they live in, the politics, the internal politics of the empire that they exist in, and why the invasion might be happening. So there's a bit of mystery and intrigue throughout the whole series, and as you read more, you get to find out more, and by the end, you'll understand the whole picture.
Awesome.
And if they actually win.
Wait, you said if they actually... Whoa.
Oh man! Now everybody has to get every single one. Thank you again. Oh my god!
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
As always, we want to say thank you guys for rocking with us. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to comment in the comment section to join the conversation. Like, share, and subscribe to be part of what we have coming out for you guys next. And we're dropping this in time because Black History Month is vastly approaching, and you already know that. So listen, I feel like we're on flavor here, y'all. But please, as always, I ask that you would do whatever it is that you can do to make your life better by trying to make those goals, by trying to hit those endeavors, by working hard to make all those things come true for yourself and other people. If you support other people, your life gets better for yourself. As always, stay safe, stay with your family, stay up, but more than that, stay nerdy, my friends. Johnny.
Salute.